Alright, so I watched the MPT earnings call for the fourth quarter and the full year of 2025 so that you guys don't have to. It was a very uneventful earnings call, in my opinion, although the market had a very strong reaction for a REIT. It was up roughly 17%, and then it dropped down a little bit to 14.25 as I'm recording this video. In terms of the highlights, it was nothing unexpected, and that's why I'm a bit surprised regarding the market reaction. In terms of normalized funds from operation, this was a bit of a beat, a result of increasing rents. They've talked about this, and they won't have full rents on all of their properties until December of this year, 2026. So we will continue to see increases in terms of rent cash collection. And of course, this will impact funds from operations. And we saw a slight surprise, in my opinion, in terms of 3 cents a share extra being collected from cash rent collection from a backdated September rent. So slight surprise, a slight extra boost in the terms of the numbers from that. So that was a surprise in my opinion, but mark my words, we will see a surprise next quarter as well, very likely, when the market realizes that, alright, numbers were slightly better than expected. So they have made a new lease here for another hospital, formerly operated by Prospect Medical Holdings, and as I mentioned, scheduled to ramp up to 45 million of annual rent in December of 2026. So they have this model when they lease out the hospitals that they give a bit of a discount in the beginning so that the new operator can get in there, get EBITDA positive, get everything up and running with the licenses, with the costs that you have as a medical provider. And then once they are more established, they do the full rent. This is common today. We see it in certain OPEX models as well in the tech sector. So no big surprise, although the earnings call was a lot more boring than tech earnings calls, as always. So, smash the like button for me watching all of the earnings call and summarizing it and listening in on analyst questions as well. A lot of the time there was some analyst sitting in for the person doing coverage. No surprise there. So completed restructuring here with Vibra Healthcare, new master lease agreement. And then also a bit of a surprise in terms of 2 acquisitions. So they sold off 6 properties and they bought 2. So that's a bit of a surprise, in my opinion. Going into acquisition mode, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. But management talks about, we're in acquisition mode now. You still have a debt wall coming in 2027. You have this amazing note outstanding in October is the maturity date with 0.09% interest rate. And then you have more debt coming up in 2027. So, as a shareholder, not too happy about watching them doing acquisitions rather than stabilizing the balance sheet and just getting things back on track. Talking about that, they saw it as the opportunity for, getting good returns for shareholders. Sure, I believe it when I see it. We've seen a lot of storm clouds, a lot of issues just recently being left behind in terms of the Prospect bankruptcy almost being done in terms of the old hospital buildings that they used to have, lease being rented out again, and now just, starting acquisitions, although very small acquisitions, but, still a bit of a surprise here. So post-acute facility, in this case in the US, and then there was a property in Europe here as well, another post-acute facility in this case. So Small transaction in this case, 23 million euros, not too big. And then we saw them utilizing the repurchase program as well, so 4.5 million shares. This represents roughly them buying back a percentage of their market cap in this case. So obviously that gives shareholders an entitlement to a larger percentage of profits. But despite this, still keeping the dividend low. They are declaring 9 cents. This was done before the earnings call already, so this is old news, but summarized for our convenience, I guess, of 9 cents a share here to be paid out later on. And this is the same dividend as we had last quarter, 9 cents a share. Before that, 8 cents a share. In my opinion, we're likely to see an increase in the dividend per share here in 2026 as rents stabilize. Although, if they do a ton of acquisitions for some reason and put on more debt, well then maybe not. We never know with stocks. But so far, very happy with the performance of Medical Properties Trust. They've been paying out large dividend checks for me while waiting. And then some nice capital gains here, giving me, I think it's roughly somewhere around 40% in capital gains here over a roughly a little longer than 1 year period. Started buying these at 3 something and continued to load up on this stock. But yeah, they've been in business for a long time now, and in terms of questions and answers, it was like sitting in on a corporate meeting again with analysts using words such as give some more coloring on and circle back to, and man, it was not an easy earnings call to listen through, I give you that, but nonetheless a step forward in terms of performance. It was not a huge step, it was just better than what the market expected. This stock is very, very shorted as well, and I think that shorts are starting to see that, alright, this company is not going bankrupt, they're doing acquisitions now again, they are increasing dividends, perhaps time to exit that short position, and then we see some faster than usual capital gains. This stock should never have been trading at $3 a share. It was way too low, and we're seeing the recovery now, although it will never reach $24 a share again like it was back in 2022. It's a whole different company now. It's lighter capital structure, in my opinion. I think a fairer value is closer to $12 a share in this case, in the case of MPT, no longer MPW, they changed the ticker, MPT. And I will make another video on another REIT that I'm looking at right now very, very soon as well, so make sure to subscribe for that. I will cover Alexandria Real Estate. It's very interesting. The stock has been dropping. They've been cutting dividend, just like Medical Properties Trust did at the start of their turbulence. Perhaps more dividend cuts to come in that case. They have some major leases expiring very soon, and I think this will catch the market by surprise, giving it some clearance sale on the stock market, perhaps. I'm keeping my eye on that company as well, but for now, we covered MPT, we covered the earnings call, we covered the full year. Nothing super exciting, just a slow march forward, and stock price is reacting accordingly. Alright, that's been it for this video, and as always, hope you guys make a ton of money, whatever investments you decide to make. Take care now, bye bye.